So I'm going to start today's lecture. First of all, very good morning to you all, and I welcome you to this session on compressed air system. And I think this title slide itself explain what is today's agenda for our lecture about, and this shows the clearly the compressed air network, and it comprises of number one in yellow, that box is the compressor, air compressor. Second, in blue is the receiver, and after that you will see that this compressed air pipeline goes to different loads. In this case, loads means at the point of application of compressed air, like one pneumatic tool at the top, then one machine at the bottom, and lastly the robots that you'll see nowadays. Lots of pneumatically operated robot lines, production lines in the industry. So there are lots of application of this compressed air in the industry, and it's very interesting to know that how much this compressed air system will affect the overall energy performance, or overall how it the contribution of compressor or compressed air system in the overall energy bill of the industry. And you'll come to surprise that though compressor, when it comes to our total syllabus, the compressor is hardly any one unit is covered. But when you go to industry, you will find lots of as far as energy or electricity bill is concerned, the majority of share is by compressed air. Okay, nowadays if you have a modern pneumatically operated production lines having different pneumatic tools and robots, and have a dedicated compressor house, you will see that nearly 40% of the electricity bill of that or energy bill of that industry comes from compressor only. Clear? So that's why this compressor is, or compressor system is a very important and vital for as far as energy consumption of the plant is concerned. So today we'll see this much important utility in detail. Clear? So let's start compressed air system first. Uh, as I told you, the content for this lecture is, we'll start with introduction, then we'll see types of compressors, then assessment of compressor performance, then various compressor systems, and finally what are the different energy efficiency opportunities. If time permits, we'll cover all these uh, uh, points. Now start with introduction. As I told you, compressor is having very significant share of overall electricity consumed in the industry, and in a large variety of industries which required compressor for processes like food industry, manufacturing industry. I already told that various pneumatically operated robots and pneumatic tools are also required a large amount of compressed air. So there are lots of application of this compressed air in the industry, and only, but the point is, only 10 to 30% of the energy reaches the point of the use. What does it mean? It means that out of the, suppose you are giving 100% of the energy to compress the air, out of which only 10 to 30%, okay, 30% is still a huge number. But actually, only in actual practice, when as auditor you go and will conduct the audit, you will find most of the time it is only 10%. So out of the 100% of the energy you are giving, only 10% is reaches to the end user, or the point of application. Clear? And balance, so where is the rest 70 to 90% in this case? If it is 30, then 70% of energy, where does it goes, or 90% of energy, so it is lost in the form of heat, okay, while compressing the air. And generally this heat is not uh, used, okay. But nowadays there are lots of research is going on, and also there are also various methodology, various techniques are evolved to uh, uh, to save this energy which is lost through heat through compressor. Okay, that also we'll see in detail how this energy recovery will help, or sorry, heat recovery will help you to improve the performance of compressed air system. Clear? And at the bottom you will see the Sankey diagram. Okay, what is Sankey diagram? Anybody knows? If you know, please write in the question box what is mean by Sankey diagram. At the bottom of the slide it is written Sankey diagram for compressed air. So what uh, your guess, what is the Sankey diagram is all about? This about Sankey diagram before? Nobody is replying. I hope you can write no also. There is not expected to heard about Sankey diagram before, but if okay. No, no. Okay, More Abhijit and Prashant Devade is saying no. Okay, fine. So Sankey diagram, this is as an auditor, this is very important. And while conducting the energy audit of any utilities, you have to distribute. Generally, I think Sankey diagram before explain Sankey diagram, I think everybody knows heat balance sheet, right? In second year applied thermodynamic course, you conducted a practical on engines and prepared particularly on diesel engine and prepared heat balance sheet for that diesel engine. So that heat balance sheet, it is a graphical representation of that heat balance sheet in short, or in simple language you can say that the Sankey diagram is nothing but a graphical representation of the heat or energy balance. Okay, and as you can see in this right hand side diagram, electricity consumed by compressor suppose is 100%. That's why it is shown the thickness. And the interesting thing about Sankey diagram is that the thickness of the arrows or the body of that whatever geometry you are using indicates the percentage. Okay, so suppose for 100% this is the length of this sorry, the width of this arrow. So this indicates 100% electricity is supplied to the compressor, out of which, okay, where does different losses or different that electricity is used for. Okay, as you can see this red color, the arrow thickness of this red arrow is more. And what does it indicates? This is the heat loss. Okay, so measure out of the electricity supply, majority of the electricity is lost lost in the form of heat, as you can see here. Clear? And then uh, and what goes to the point of your application on delivered compressor. Finally, as you can see, uh, very thin, that arrow, blue arrow indicates that out of the 100% supply, only 10% as shown, as I told you before, only very small 10% of the input is converted into your output. Okay, rest is the losses. Okay, and what does this green arrow shows? These green arrows are nothing but indication how much energy you can save by employing different measures during generation, transmission, distribution, and misuse. By tapping all these losses, you can have a potential up to 30% to save the energy. Okay, and on the left hand side also the same Sankey diagram, as I told you, 100%, suppose 100 kilowatt is shown in a very thick and this thick arrow, and out of which 80% loss, 5% in motor drive efficiency, 5 to 10% waste, and finally point of use is only having 5 to 10%. I told you 10%, but the situation is very bad in if you go to some industries, you will find the compressed air system is very much neglected part. Okay, and that at the end of the lecture or coming slides you will see how the installation, very bad installation and ignorance leads to lakhs of rupees wastage per year. Okay, I think I made this clear now. So this is the first. I just give brief you about how much the compressor is yeah, important and its significance in the industry, and the main concern regarding the compressor by from this Sankey diagram we'll see that only 10% of the energy or whatever electricity you are supplying is converted into final output, or what we can say is actually you can use. Okay, only 10%. Please remember this number. Okay, now again I'll just elaborate upon that, and I'll give you some numbers so that you'll easily understand the significance of compressed air system. And I hope before this lecture you never heard about or you never imagined that this compressed air system is such a valuable utility in the industry. And then the obvious question is, if this compressor is such a important or a very costly utility, so how much it cost me? Clear? And that's why the question is, how much is compressed air is costing me? Okay, then how to calculate that? Before explaining this pie chart, just do this small calculation. Okay, and for that I took a 100 HP compressor, a very big compressor, and this 100 HP compressor is I'm using suppose for 8,000 hours per year. uh, okay, and the cost of electricity is, let me correct, is per year. Okay, so do this calculation fast in order to calculate the cost of compressor in rupees per year. And the input is, my compressor is 100 HP compressor, and it that compressor runs for 8,000 hours per year. Okay, assuming it run continuously, or sorry, it runs up to 8,000 hours per year, and the average cost of electricity is 8 rupees per kilowatt hour. Okay, and I took the motor efficiency as 95%. Okay, just do the calculation and write in the question write your answer in the question box. The cost of compressor, suppose your industry is having 100 HP compressor, it runs for 8,000 hours per year, and average cost of electricity is 8 rupees per kilowatt hour. So what is the cost of compressor per year? Okay, Vinax had given the answer. Okay, where are the rest 83 students? Okay, so 100 HP compressor, the cost of producing the compressed air uh, from the 100 HP compressor, which runs for 8,000 hours per year, is comes to be approximately 50 lakhs rupees. So it is very interesting to know that. So if your industry is having 100 HP compressor, single or the compressors, and then you will see that the per year cost of producing compressor is a 50 lakh. Clear? And just imagine if I told you that out of this 50 lakh, only 10% is actually used for whatever application for your special purpose machine, pneumatic tools and more. So 50 lakh, what is the 10% of the 50 lakh? Only 5 lakh. So 45 lakhs is, you can say, is a rupees you're just I'm not saying wasting, but yes, in a way you are wasting it to produce the air which is only of 5 lakh rupees. Okay, so see, this is this is what compressor is very precious. And while using that compressor you have to be very careful, uh, because you produce it by uh, spending lots of electricity and money. Okay, and when you I hope uh, when you visited the industry you saw how this air is misused. Okay, apart from the using application everybody saw in pneumatic tools, but lots of time this compressor is used for cleaning the cleaning the machine, or it is just to cleaning the floor clothes. Okay, so such a costly utility is not used in a efficient way. Okay, that misuse is one of the important aspect of this compressor in the industry. Clear? So I hope I made this point clear, and now you understand the how much the compressor is costing to you as a engineer in the industry. And if you calculate the typical lifetime cost of the compressor, you will find that out of, suppose my compressor runs for 10 years. Okay, its life is 10 years. So at 10 years you will find that the equipment and installation cost accounts for only 12%, maintenance is 12%, but majority of the cost is the operating cost to run that compressor. The I need 76% or up to 80% of the cost is paid for running the compressor. That's why the operating cost of the compressor is very high. And as an auditor, when you enters into industry, you have to focus to this utility in order to save the energy and to save the money. To give a very, you can give very good suggestion to save, because a very small effort to save energy in the compressor system will leads to saving thousands and lakhs of rupees. Okay, that we'll see in one of the case study also, how very small steps can leads to saving thousands and lakhs of rupees. Okay, so this is clear. I hope this is clear, the compressor costing. And now just go to the basics of the compressor system, the main components of the compressor systems. Okay, of course, the first is compressor, which is not mentioned here, but the compressor is very much important component, and compressor is fitted with filter. Then you go to the second part, important part is the refrigerator air dryer. Okay, uh, refrigerator air dryer, or in short the dryer. So this dryer is used to remove moisture from the compressed air. Then next important component is the um receiver or storage tank. Then your distribution network, and drain walls are also fitted before your load. You can have a drain walls or lubricator separator. If your compressor is the flooded oil type, then you must have such a removal oil removal filters can you can install. And after filter it goes to your air tool or point of application. So this is the simple network of compressor network. Again, this also shows the same thing. You can start with the compressor here. Sorry, compressor to receiver to filter, then dryer, pre-filter, pre filter before dryer, after dryer, then oil and water separator, and your application. So lots of different combinations you can see. And with suppose your number of compressors are more, then you need to have some series and parallel connection of the compressors as per the requirement. And then next is types of compressors. So I will just quickly brief you about these types of compressor. I'm not going to explain in much depth, but few basics you must know before doing the performance assessment of the compressors. Is the types of compressors. I know everybody, I think everybody knows that there are two types of compressors we have studied. One is positive displacement and second one is the dynamic. In positive displacement, reciprocating and rotary type compressor. In dynamic, centrifugal and axial type compressor. Clear? So let us start with the positive displacement. So when it comes to positive displacement compressor, the first thing that comes to your mind is reciprocating compressor. And we all done experiment in the second year also on this reciprocating compressor to calculate its capacity and performance. And this reciprocating compressor, it's used for both air and refrigerate in refrigerators also, or in uh, VCR cycles. And it works on a very simple principle, or what we can say in a simple way, bicycle. It works like a bicycle pump, and by as the cylinder volume reduces, pressure increases. But the important thing to note that in reciprocating compressor, the output is pulsating nature. Okay, you will get output in intermittent, not a continuous output. And many configuration of reciprocating compressor, like uh, single stage, two stage, three stage, or multi stage, then single acting, double acting. So lots of these details you already learn in the second year course of applied thermodynamics. And uh, on this left hand side, you'll see that this two stage air compressor is shown with intercooler. And on the right hand side, the PV diagram for this compressor, like suction volume with clearance volume is given. But this is for single stage compressor. We note that this PV diagram is not for this compressor. This is a single stage compression. It is just a representation. And second is, next type is a centrifugal compressor, very important compressor that is used in the industry. And it is oil free compressor, of course. If you know the working of the centrifugal compressor, you'll understand this is oil free compressor. And it's used for very high, the important point to know that where the centrifugal compressors are used is used in the applications where you require a very large volume of air, greater than 12,000 CFM. So you prefer medium or low pressure application, but with very high volume flow rate, go for centrifugal compressor. Reciprocating compressor, which is nowadays mostly used to replace reciprocating compressor wherever possible. And this rotary compressor is having rotors instead of pistons. And I think everybody knows the working of screw compressor. It is having two screws, one is male and female screw rotors. And these male and female rotors, when rotate, the air is trapped in between the pockets of this male and female rotor, and air is compressed. Okay. And this rotary compressor is having, it comes in the medium range capacity. And there are different types of these rotary compressors. One screw that I already explained and which is shown here also. And other than lobe compressor and vane and slide vane, in generally air compressor, you will not find rotary or vane. It is for small HVC as applications it is used. And so this is all about rotary compressors, so centrifugal and rotary compressors. And before going ahead, okay, I'll just uh, want to show you one video regarding how centrifugal compressor works, in order to give you some idea regarding Hello, the video is visible to you all or not? There is some
हा
issue with
दिसतोय
audio,
सर.
so just okay, okay.
ऑडिओ दिसतोय, आवाज नाही त्याला. आवाज आहे का?
नाही, आवाज आहे पण थोडासा माईकला प्रॉब्लेम येतोय सर. इको इको तयार होतोय.
ओके ओके, फक्त व्हिडिओ दिसतोय, चित्र.
हा हा, ठीक आहे ठीक आहे. Okay, so this was centrifugal compressor, and this is IR compressor, Ingersoll-Rand's rotary compressor or screw compressor. Okay. So okay, we next saying what is PSIG? Okay, anybody? What is PSIG stands for? PSI is pound per square inch, and G, yes, it's unit. What is G? Very simple. The G stands for gauge pressure. So that 23 PSIG stands. It is a gauge pressure, not the absolute one. For absolute, you need to add the atmospheric pressure into that. Okay, so PSIG for uh, gauge. Okay, no Subiksha, it's not atmospheric pressure. Okay, so let us continue the compressor part, and now the comparison of compressor. So you see the reciprocating compressor, then uh, a screw compressor or rotary compressor, and centrifugal compressor. So while selecting the compressor for particular application, you must be aware of all these things enlisted here, and then you can select the compressor for your particular application. So the first point that you have to uh, consider while selecting the compressor, or while comparing the different types of compressor, is their efficiency of the compressor at full, partial, and no load condition. Okay, what is the full load, partial load, and no load? I think it's that much simple. Full load means the rated, your if your compressor is continuously working on whatever the design or rated output, then you can say it is a full load, it is on full load. Suppose it is designed for producing or the rated capacity is 100 cfm, and your compressor is nearly giving you the 99, 98 or 100 cfm, then it is operating at a full load condition. Partial load means, suppose uh, I'm only getting 75 cfm, so this is a partial load application. Means your compressor is working on uh, 75% or 50 or 25% of the load. Okay, uh, that is the partial load. And finally, no load condition means there is, you doesn't require air at all. Suppose for uh, some time you because of breakdown or some other things, or your capacity is or your required amount of air is reached, then your compressor must you doesn't require any output from your compressor. So this is a no load condition. So while selecting the compressor, you must see the which suppose most of the out of 24 hours, for example, uh, in nearly 15 hours your compressor is running partially on partial load, or most of the time no load condition. So you must be careful while selecting the compressor, whether you go for a screw compressor or reciprocating compressor. Or suppose there are some applications where continuously you have to continuously run your compressor for throughout the day, 24 by 7, you can say, then at full load, then there must be a different choice of the compressor you go for. So as per your application and the efficiency of the compressor at different load condition, and the performance of the compressor is that these values of efficiency at various load condition is given in the catalog. While purchasing the compressor, you get the manufacturer's catalog. So in that catalog, these things are mentioned, and the full load performance of the compressor, partial load, and no load performance of the compressor. Then noise level, this is also important consideration. The noise produced by the compressor, you must, because, and where you are installing the compressor, that also matters, like in pharmaceutical industry or some hospitals, particularly HVAC application I'm talking about when it comes to hospitals. Then this compressor noise is important consideration. Then size of the compressor is oil carryover, as you can see in the if you know the compressor type, screw compressor types, these are the oil flooded compressor and oil free compressors. That screw compressors comes in these two categories. And and also reciprocating and centrifugal is also having the bearing and oil lubrication for different purposes of wall lubrications. So this oil carryover is so important concern, and you must you must ask the manufacturer or the supplier about this oil carryover things regarding your compressor. Then vibration maintenance. Maintenance is again important thing. As you can see that 12% of overall the life the cost is of maintenance. And compressor, while selecting the compressor, the maintenance is again important thing, particularly for positive displacement compressors. The maintenance is important concern, not for this that much for centrifugal compressors. Then capacity of the compressor and pressure. I think the capacity and pressure is you can choose as per your application. Okay. And this again is based on the capacity and the pressure, the compressors selection criteria is given in this table. And as you can see that the capacity is in meter cube per hour is given, and pressure in bar. Clear. So for roots single stage root blower compressor, capacity and pressure range, you can see that these are the very low, having the very low compression ratio, 0.1 to 1 you can say. And then reciprocating compressor, sorry, not compression ratio, you can say the pressure output you are getting. A reciprocating compressor is single or two stage, multi-stage compressor, you'll get a very good uh, discharge pressure in multi in reciprocating. The important advantage of reciprocating compressors is that you'll get a very high pressure ratio. Okay, yeah, you can see we go up to 700 with multi-stage arrangement in reciprocating compressor. For screw compressor single stage and two stage, you'll see that pressure ratio is medium, up to zero point 0.8 to 13 or zero point 0.8 to 24 for two stage. And their output wall capacity is also low. So this is the thing you have to consider while selecting screw compressor, its capacity and pressure ratio. And finally for centrifugal compressor, as you can see that pressure ratio is medium, okay, 0.1 to 450, which is good. And capacity, huge capacity, 600 meter cube per hour to 3 lakh meter cube per hour, highest in this table. Okay. So what does it shows? You can go for centrifugal compressor when you are having medium or low pressure requirement, but very high volume air is required for your application, centrifugal. And reciprocating for very high pressure ratio requirement. Okay, I think I made this clear. Then capacity of the compressor, as I told you, that full rated volume flow rate, that is the full load capacity. Then actual flow rate, that is free air delivered. uh, I think if you are able to recollect what you learn about FAD in your thermodynamic course, that this free air delivered, and that we'll see in next coming slide. But this FAD is the very important thing. While you go to purchase the compressor, this FAD rating of the compressor is given. Clear. And but as an auditor, so what is the role of auditor? Because FAD is written on that compressor, but when you actually conduct audit of the compressor, you have to actually find out the current FAD of that compressor. And because that FAD reduce over the period of time because of aging, poor maintenance, foul heat exchanger, and altitude where you are going to install the compressor, the location is also matters. Location means actual surrounding environment plus altitude, means in Nasik or in Ladakh, okay, where you are actually installing the compressor, that also affect the capacity of the compressor. And energy losses, of course, because the deviation for from the FAD, the rated FAD leads to the energy losses. Okay, that means rated capacity. If your compressor is not giving the output at the rated capacity, it means there is some issue with the compressor maintenance or compressor operation, and you need to fix that in order to save the energy. Then compressor efficiency, for that you have to while estimating the compressor efficiency and while doing the performance assessment of the compressor, you have to first, as an auditor, you will first go for specific power consumption. I think in the second unit of compressor energy audit methodology, sorry, energy audit methodology part, you found that in a 10 step methodology, the important thing about any utility is first, while conducting the energy audit, you find out the specific power consumption of that utility. Okay, so for compressor, this specific power consumption is in kilowatt per volume flow rate. Okay, so this is the specific power consumption you are going to find out first, and then you go for isothermal, volumetric, adiabatic, and mechanical efficiencies also. Clear? So I think you remember these efficiencies. Okay, if not, I'll just quickly throw a light on this concept in brief. Clear? So capacity of the compressor, as I told you, that FAD is the term that is used to designate the capacity of the compressor, and this FAD is nothing but uh, is the full rated volume flow of the air or gas which is compressed and delivered to the conditions of the temperature, total pressure, and composition prevailing the compressor inlet. This compressor inlet is in bold. So in short, okay, compressor gives you the actual flow rate, okay, and but at the atmospheric condition at any specific locations in Nasik, or suppose you install it in Ladakh. So this FAD, you have to convert your delivered airflow rate in the in the inlet condition. But remember that this FAD is not the ideal or STP condition. There is no FAD is calculated at STP and all that. FAD is purely calculated at the atmospheric condition of that particular specific location. So isothermal efficiency is nothing but isothermal power upon actual measured input power. Clear? And isothermal power, I hope you remember this P1, Q1, and log 2, the pressure ratio or log of RP, and 36.7 is the multiplication factor here. Then P1, P2 is the uh, inlet and outlet pressure, and Q here is the free air delivered. Okay, and uh, next is volumetric efficiency. Volumetric efficiency, we all know that it is the ratio of FAD upon compressor displacement, and FAD divided by compressor displacement is, you can calculate from the compressor specifications, means cylinder bore, stroke, and speed, and from this you will get the volumetric efficiency. Clear? So let me take a poll on the things we covered till now. I think the poll is visible. The efficiency of compressed air system is around only 20% of the students voted. Where are the rest? Okay. So only let me close the poll first and share it. The poll result is visible to you all or not? It's not visible to me actually. Okay. So 59% of the students voted, and I think only 40%, approximately 40% of the students have given the right answer, which is 10%. The efficiency of the compressor system as a whole is only around 10%. Okay, 10 to 15% approximately. So I hope rest of the students are not attentive during very first slide while discussing the very first slide that was and the Sankey diagram. Okay, so right answer is 10%. Next is FAD refers to the compressed air discharge. Okay, so only less than 50% of the students are taking part into this polls. So it shows you guys are not attentive or not interested in polls at all. Okay, let me close the poll. 60% of the students have voted. Okay, means still 40% of the students are not interested. This is not good. You are only physically present, like you were present in the class. Okay, so the FAD refers to the compressor discharge at inlet condition. So 42% of the students have given the right answer. And then next, which of the following parameters are not required for evaluating volumetric efficiency of the compressor? Read the question carefully. Which of the following parameter is not required for evaluating volumetric efficiency? Cylinder bore diameter, stroke length, FAD, or power? I think this is very much basic question. It doesn't require to be attentive for this session. This is already covered in your second year thermodynamic course. And lots of time you already calculated volumetric efficiency for compressor in our lab, then for engine also. So you must know the concept of volumetric efficiency. Only 47% of the students voted. Okay, let me close the poll. 55% of the students have voted. Let me close the poll. Okay, and 50%, 51% of the students have given the right answer. Power is the thing that we are not going to consider or while calculating the volumetric efficiency, but still 49% of the students have given the wrong answer. So you need to go back and check your basics regarding these performance parameter things like various efficiencies and all that. Clear? And again, next question: which of the following compressor best meet high volume low pressure requirements? Okay, 50% of okay, so 61% of the students have voted, and the right answer is centrifugal compressor. Okay, so 40% of the students have voted. I just discussed this concept of compressor selection, and still most of the students are saying ki we go for reciprocating. Remember that reciprocating compressor, you'll get higher pressure. Uh, Whatever your pressure requirement is made by a reciprocating compressor, but not the volumetric requirement. If you require the volume in lakhs of cfm, then you need a very big reciprocating compressor, which is not feasible. So this reciprocating compressor is having the limitation of volumetric flow rate, not the pressure but the volumetric flow rate. Clear? Compared to centrifugal. Now, last question. This again, for this question, you need to recollect your concept learn in the applied thermodynamics. The smoothing of pulsating output of the reciprocating compressor is helped by, means those who are not able to understand the question, let me make it simple, that the output of the reciprocating compressor is is of pulsating nature. So means you will get intermittent supply of compressed air. So in order to offset this pulsating nature of the output, what you are going to install out of these four: intercooler, aftercooler, receiver, or drain traps? Only 33% of the students have voted. I hope most of the students have not understood question, or they don't know this at all. You're just randomly selecting the option. Okay, 48% of the students have voted. रेसिप्रोकेटिंग कंप्रेसर का आउटपुट जो पल्सेटिंग नेचर का होता है, इंटरमिटेंट होता है, तो उसको क्लियर स्मूथ करने के लिए आप कौन सा डिवाइस यूज करोगे? इंटरकूलर, आफ्टर कूलर, रिसीवर और ड्रेन ट्रैप्स? Those selecting drain traps, I hope you know what is drain trap. It is drain trap is okay. Just let me close the poll and share the result. Okay, and as you can see that 36% of the students are saying intercooler. So can anybody tell me how intercooler helps to smooth or to make your air supply continuous? How it will help? Those selected intercooler or after cooler also 17%. So nearly 50% of the students are saying by installing intercooler and after cooler you can smooth the air output. I don't know how. And drain trap, guys, what is drain trap? Drain trap is fitted at the bottom of the receiver, air receiver, where you can store. Receiver is the vessel where you can store the output, compress air output from the compressor. Clear? So this drain trap is to remove moisture or condensate which is collected at the bottom of the receiver there. So it doesn't help you to smoothen your compressed air supply. So the right answer is receiver, because the receiver acts as an accumulator where the air at a particular pressure is stored, and then it is uh, used uh, continuously wherever the application is. Okay, so right answer is the receiver. Okay, so I hope I made these basic things clear. In the next lecture we'll see these compressor control types and various methods to find out fad or actual field testing of the compressor. Okay, so with this I conclude today's session. Thank you all.